It's time for another installment of The Basics, and on today's show, in regards to the Transformers TCG, I want to talk about the card types in the game. I'm not going to go into huge detail, but I'm going to give you a heads up of the card types and what they do. So let's get started, shall we? Now, as I've mentioned on previous episodes of this show, there are 5 main card types in the Transformers TCG. The first one being the character cards, either Decepticon or Autobot. They're double-sided because they have Robot Mode and Alt Mode. Now, in some characters' cases, the 3 main attributes, which would be Attack, Health, and Defense, can be the same in both modes. In the case of Red Alert, I'm going to use him as an example. In his bot mode, he has 5 attack, 10 health, 0 defense. In his alt mode, he has 3 attack, 10 health, and 2 defense. And of course, the star rating goes to the advanced rules. I've mentioned that in the previous episode as well. The health, attack, and defense attributes come into play when you're throwing down either the action cards or the upgrade cards, and as I mentioned before, that's due to those little boxes in the corners of the cards that you add and subtract to get the attack and defense totals. Now, speaking of the other card types, we have your upgrade weapon, and that's exactly as it sounds. It's usually an upgrade for a weapon that helps with the attack attribute. So in this case, primary laser, you get 2 more attack. So if I were to apply that to Red Alert, he would have 7 attack. Upgrade armor is exactly what it says. It adds upgrade to the armor, which is the defense. So you get +1 defense on this. So I would add that to Red Alert. He would actually get 1 defense in robot mode. Then you have your upgrade utility. Now these cards do different things. For example, we have Crushing Size, and what this one does is, when you put this on a character, scrap an enemy utility if you can't draw a card, or Pierce 1. Do at least 1 damage when attacking, but not more than the attack total. Pierce numbers add together. That's your Pierce box. And finally, we have the action card. This is what makes the game move along, and they do various things. So, for example, I have 3 out here to show you. Rapid Conversion. Flip one of your characters to its other mode. So basically, you'd be doing this. Vaporize. Scrap an enemy upgrade. So you look at one of your opponent's upgrades, any of those that's on the table, and get rid of it. Put it in the discard pile. And Testify. Each player draws 2 cards. So you or your opponent would play that. Both of you would have to draw 2 additional cards into your hand. The card types are interesting in this game, and I'm kind of glad that there are only 5 types. And if you don't count the character cards, that means 4. It means for a more fluid game. I can see this game moving at a decent pace and not getting bogged down by a lot of the problems that other CCGs have that deal with attack and defense, as well as tapping and untapping. I'm not specifically referring to Magic, but we all know in some later sets it did get bogged down. But the Transformers TCG doesn't have this problem. The card types are good, there's just enough of them, and it keeps the game interesting. Now, that all being said, let me remind you that in the Transformers TCG, you are only allowed to have a maximum of 3 copies of any one card from either the action or upgrades in your deck. You can't have any more than that. So you'll have to play around with your deck building and decide which card works best for you. There are also upgrades and action cards that are tailored to either Autobots, Decepticons, or certain Autobots and certain Decepticons, and to a lesser extent, Combiners. So be mindful of that. That's all for today. Have a great day, everybody.